Previously on agentpalmer.com, anything but Alien, aliens in the prime of their lives touches all of humanity. My Arthur Treacher's uniform still smells, but memories of my first job are fresh. And you'll be hearing more from Hal on this show again very soon. This is the Palmer Files, episode 144 with Alyssa LaBotz, entrepreneur, freelancer, video editor, traveler, and fellow coffee drinker. We discuss starting in economics and ending in editing, finding time for ourselves, burnout, balance, structure, age, and much, much more. Are you ready? Let's do the show! Welcome to the Palmer Files. I'm your host, Jason Sturczyk, also known as Agent Palmer, and on this 144th episode is Alyssa LaBotz. Alyssa thought she might like to be a lawyer, went to school for economics, became an entrepreneur, and is now a freelancer editing video. We discuss those transitions, as well as her love of traveling and the videos that she's made that document her travels, the importance of getting into something creative, plus age, coffee, balance, feeling comfortable, imposter syndrome, having a specialization, burnout, and well, all of that and more is coming your way shortly. But first, remember that if you want to discuss this episode as you listen or afterwards, you can find all related ways to contact Alyssa and myself in the show notes. You can visit Alyssa's website, labotzmedia.com. That's LABOTZ media.com, or you can see her travel videos on YouTube at Roaming with Alyssa. Don't forget, you can see all of my writings and rantings on agentpalmer.com, and of course, email can be sent to thepalmerfiles@gmail.com. So without further ado, let's hit the road! Alyssa, I know of your work editing RetroDaze, but what I really wanted to start with was this. I went to your website, and on your About page, you stole my respect by saying that you should have known better than to get a degree in economics. I did not get a degree in economics, but I should have known better than to get a degree in communications, which, while I am kind of tangentially in communications, I basically just got a degree I had no idea what I was going to do with. So I just wanted to know, since you're in video editing and production, why economics first?
Oh, man.
Why did I go all dad on you? Like, is this the parents' conversation?
No, it's like at the time I thought, okay, well, going back even before economics, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to get a poli-sci degree and then I'm going to law school. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know that I want to go to school that long. Like economics, it's more versatile. I can do whatever with that. So
okay.
I did that. I had no interest in it. Like even before I graduated, I wished I had done something different.
Okay. Four-year degree?
Yeah.
And you, even though you had, like, when did you realize you had no interest here?
Basically, once I started upper division and started taking all the econ classes.
But you didn't want to change?
No, it was like at that point, it was like I just wanted to get the degree done with and over with.
Okay.
And yeah, I just had no interest in it. And most of my classmates who were also econ majors ended up going into, like, right out of school, going into banking or insurance or, you know, nothing that I was interested in.
Okay.
And yeah.
I mean, first I applaud you for making a decision. Okay. Because I started as a liberal arts AA. And they were like, okay, well, it's 2 years and you have your degree. What now? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I made all of the least, the most general decisions I could possibly make at every step of the way. So where does video come in all of this? Because that's not anywhere in your learning track.
I know that came in way later because I actually ran a pet sitting company for 10 years.
Okay.
So yeah, I started that my senior year of college because I knew I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want a 9 to 5. I didn't want to work with other people.
Okay.
So I started that and actually ran that for 10 years, and it was a good business, but it was not like mentally fulfilling or stimulating. And
Okay.
the older I got, the more important like creative expression and just getting into more creative realm, it became more important to me. And I had been editing my own like travel videos for years, and um I was trying to think of what else I could do because I wanted to change things up. I wanted to do something where I could work remotely. And I was like, well, I love editing, but I didn't go to school for it or anything. And, who would hire me if I don't have like some like good degree or all this training in it? But I just decided to start applying to like freelance jobs, and the only thing I had was my own travel videos that I had edited, and people started hiring me, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe someone's paying me to do this. Like,
Okay.
wow, I tried it, but I didn't believe like I could do it. But I thought, well, I have nothing to lose. And that was like almost 6 years ago, I think. So yeah.
And like, I mean, it's been 6 years. Are you like, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner? Like, I'm so glad I made this decision. Like, is that where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I still love editing. I never get tired of it. I love doing it, and I'm glad I made the switch. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like to regret things or think like, oh, I wish I had done that differently, because I'm like, well, whatever, I can't go back and change the past. But um, if I did go back, I would have liked to do it sooner but I didn't know, I
Yeah.
didn't know at the time. I was trying to figure it out, and I didn't even think it was a possibility. But
So
yeah.
where in like, I don't know, high school, like because you don't just decide randomly on a whim to start doing your own travel vlogs and like editing them. Like that's not some, I know people take video when they're at places and then share it, but very few people actually edit those things. So like, where does that start?
I don't even know. Like that, I didn't start doing that till I was maybe like 21. But yeah, me and my sister traveled a lot, and so I had all this footage, and I wasn't taking the footage for the purpose like, oh, I'm going to turn this into a video,
Okay.
But we just had all this funny footage of us traveling, and I don't even know I don't know. I don't even know when I like actively started the editing thing, or why it came into my head. Um, Even growing up, like me and my sisters would make videos and movies all the time, and I don't know. I think I've just always had this like thing in my head of making videos.
Are there like, do you have other creative things? Is it just video? Like, do you write? Do you play instruments, sing, whatever? Like, are there other creative outlets for you?
Yeah, I mean, I play the piano, but I don't play it regularly, but I've been playing it since I was a kid. I love the piano. And I do paint, but that's like nobody sees those.
That one's
except for maybe
that one's for you.
Maybe like one or two family members, and then they go in my closet. It's just for me, like,
Okay.
because I enjoy doing it, and I love doing it. But it's it looks like a kindergartner could have painted it.
I mean, if you gave me some paints, I feel like you would get a healthy dose of like, oh, that's horrible. If you want a visual medium out of me, it's going to be with words, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not drawing anything, painting or any. No, that's not going to happen for me. So like I don't know. You're on your own for 6 years now, but you work for people, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you're collaborating, like.
Yeah. it is nice to work with people, and it's like enough where I can, interact with people and collaborate, but I'm still just kind of like working on my own. And I've always like freedom and independence and setting my own schedule. Like that has always been the most important thing to me. And I've kind of geared all of my decisions in life around like being able to do what I want.
Okay.
So yeah,
all right.
It's worked out good.
All right. You set your own schedule. So morning person, night owl. What are we doing?
Well, I'm naturally a morning person, but I've gotten into like for basically 5 years now, a really awful habit of going to bed late. And I still wake up at a normal time though. That's the thing. So I'm just chronically sleep deprived, but yeah.
Welcome to the club. I haven't always been a morning person. I was a night person for a very long time. And then like, I don't know, probably somewhere in my 30s, I became a morning person. Like not like it just happened one day.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know when. I don't know if I can pinpoint it. And like since then, it's been like, if I stay up late, I'm still getting up early.
What is early to you? Like how is early is early?
Well, I mean, my alarm's set for 6:30, but I always wake up before it.
Oh wow.
I don't want to. Like this is the thing, right? Like I am now a morning person. I don't want to be. Like I mean sometimes I can go back to sleep, but I always regret that decision. But I'm up. Like before my alarm. Like I like the safety net of having the alarm, even though I turn it off before it goes off most days. But I do worry, like, but the day you don't set it, like, I'm going to sleep in and miss everything.
Yeah, I know. I get those phobias too. I used to be like you, where I would wake up naturally on my own between like 6 to 6:30, and now I usually get up at 8.
All right.
So,
I mean, that's fine. Yeah. I know you're in the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. How do you juggle time zones? Because I know not all of your clients could possibly be in your time zone.
Yeah, I mean, the time zone hasn't been an issue. And I've even like, I will go to Europe for months at a time. And even then, like, I'll just find a way to work within, like, usually maybe there'll only be a few hours that are off, where I'm working and they're not, or vice versa, but it usually hasn't been an issue.
When it comes to this particular hobby, I guess, of a podcast, time zone math may be the thing I hate the most. Like I don't mind the editing. I don't mind the scheduling. I don't mind the record. I love the recording. Like every piece, love it. Time zone math, hate it. I absolutely hate it because I don't know. My brain just doesn't want to I have to write it down every time.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know. I just can't do it. How are you with, juggling multiple projects?
Well, I just get stressed. But the thing is, like, I will never, if I've like committed to something or given a certain due date, once I've given my word, I'll just work until, I get it done.
Is this how the late nights happen?
It's like, even though it's stressful, I'm not going to ever like drop the ball unless there's some weird circumstance out of my control. So it's like, even if I have to stay up late and be super stressed and
okay, so that's where
where
the late nights come in then.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess the other question is, you've been doing this for long enough now. So I have a very dangerous question for you. Do you feel comfortable
editing?
No, just, you've got clients, probably steady clients. Like, do you feel comfortable?
Not really. I mean, that's the thing about being freelance is like, it's nice because you're on your own, but can be draining, that like feeling of either needing to get more projects, or it's like even when you have consistent clients, things happen and they back off or whatever. It's you always feel like there's a slight, I don't know,
No,
like things could change and like you got to stay on top of it. And yeah.
I mean, I'm a contractor, freelancer, consultant, what have you, for almost as long as you've been doing video editing, and I hate it because like I'm very good at the project at hand. I'm horrible at getting the next project.
Yeah,
that's where that's where it is. Like, you want to give me something to do? Sure, great. You want me to find something to do? I don't know about that. That's
yeah. I know it does get tiring, and that's the thing. I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel like it puts me between like a rock and a hard place, because it's like I love being independent and on my own, but I also feel like the stress and fatigue of, worrying about clients and stuff. But then I feel like if I were to get, some job working for somebody 9 to 5, I think it would suck the soul out of me or something.
Well, I mean, it's definitely possible. Like, do you have any other bigger aspirations? Like, do you want to edit a movie? You want to, a music video? Like, like there are other, there are, I mean, within video, there are a bazillion things you can do. Like, so do you have like a pipe dream list of like, I'd love to like edit a feature film or what have you?
I mean, we're not a feature film, but I would like a documentary would be cool. I have a lot of my own projects that I want to edit, but my paying jobs come first, obviously. So It's like I have to do that first, and then a lot of times I don't have time at the end of the day to like work on my own stuff. And some of them are just like interviews of family members, like about their life, and like kind of like a legacy video, where you overlay like footage and stuff and old photos. And so, I have like projects of my own, but
I mean, I look, I feel because when you spend all day in it, like for me in an audio editing suite, the last thing I want to do when I'm done is edit this show, because I'm just editing a show. It doesn't matter what show you're editing. I just spent hours editing something else. I want to jump in again, but I also feel like, but I like this. So it's a little both. Like, when you're talking about the legacy videos, did you shoot those too?
Yes, I did. But the thing about me is that I love editing and I hate shooting.
Okay.
And so when I film, it's kind of like I'm not doing anything fancy for that.
Is there a reason? Like, cause I helped out editing, producing I helped a friend make a full-length documentary once. And we've talked about it on this show before, and I don't know what episode that was. And that allowed me to be like, oh, well, my editing skills are fairly transferable from audio to video. Like it is different, but it's not like what the skills I've learned is the when to cut, when not to cut, when to fade, when to, those are transferable. And then I was like, I'm going to do a short. I'm going to make a short. And as we record this, I still haven't edited the short, but I did create a shot sheet and shoot the short. And what I learned is, I don't know that I have that skill. I might be able to learn that skill set. I don't know that I have that skill set. It's like, all I know from my limited video experience is you always want more, because you can never go back.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So I'm like shooting everything and trying to do multiple angles with it's all like phone stuff. So it's like, oh, well, I've got phones. I've got an old phone. Like, let's just shoot everything from wherever, and I'm sure the edit's going to be okay. I'm sure my shooting is going to be probably the detriment of the entire project, but I think you have to learn those things.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of like my audio space. Nothing against video. I know it's the future, and I know I have to learn it, because when I do look occasionally at that next potential 9 to 5, everybody's like, "Oh, you do podcast? Do you do video?" Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you're in the future. I'm here in Radioland in the past.
I don't know. I've seen that is becoming increasingly more common, where people want not just an editor, they want all these other things. It's like you're suddenly having to have all these different skill sets that, I mean, I guess they're, can intertwine or be connected, but they're very separate ones. And I've been seeing that more and more, that it's like you can't just be a one-trick pony. People want you to do all these other things, and I don't know. I prefer to I think it's better to specialize in one area.
Oh no, look, I agree. I think it's very important to specialize, but I'm gonna. So one of the things that I tend to do, maybe to the detriment of my pocketbook, is I spend a lot of time talking people out of doing podcasts. In my freelance consulting expertise, whatever, I spend a lot of time going, what's your episode 3? What's your episode 10? If you don't have an episode 10, you're probably at best doing a mini series. At worst, you probably just want to find somebody else's show to be on because you don't need your own, right? Like, I talk myself out of client work all the time, but I also have a hard time lying to people, being like, man, of course you could do 3 episodes and then fall off the face of the earth. That's a great business plan. But one of the things I explain to a lot of these people, that especially those that don't know what they're getting into, and this is where I try not to be, it's not egotistical, but I try not to be like, oh, you need me. But I usually end up describing it as like, oh, well, Alyssa, if you want to do a podcast, you need somebody like me for the beginning. And they're like, well, how much are you? And I'm like, no. You don't need me, but you need an editor who can also produce. You need somebody who's not just going to take the footage or raw audio, edit it, and send it back. When you're starting out, you need a producer. I don't know what other title to give it, of somebody who can be like, you were too long here. You need to move along. You need to, maybe smile at the camera, look at the camera, look off the camera. You need somebody who's going to give you more direction than just an editor who's giving you the edited product back, right?
Yeah.
Do you, I call that producing, because I don't know what else to call it, that
I
other
would
stuff.
Consider that producing.
Do you, is that something that you kind of do for clients a little bit? Even though you want to specialize in editing, but you probably do a little producing too, even just with feedback.
I generally, if they ask for suggestions or what do you think I could do different or whatever, I'll do that. But generally I don't pipe in and give them advice, unless I think it's going to make a big difference. But generally I'm just okay, well, it's their thing and I'm there to edit it. But if they ask for it, if it's going to if there's going to help them in a big way, then I'll, suggest something. But generally I kind of leave that up to them.
All right. This is the big question I've had for you that I've been saving. You're out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
That's where all the videos get made. That's where everything's getting made these days. That's where all the videos get made. That's where everything's being made these days.
I guess.
You don't
know.
You don't want to walk down to
Hollywood movies or what?
I don't know. I just assume everything's made out west. Some stuff in Vancouver, some stuff in LA, some stuff in Albuquerque, I hear. Everything's out there.
Yeah, that is true. There, yeah, Vancouver is big, I think, for movies at least, and obviously LA.
So
I've never heard of Albuquerque though.
that's new. I just
That's
started hearing about
interesting.
that one. That one I just started hearing. I don't know why. I'm not sure why Albuquerque. Maybe they got good tax credits. All I'm saying is like you know, you should I think you should try a big movie.
Wow.
I think that's your next step. Like, cause
I don't think anybody would hire me.
I see. I don't know. Okay, fine. Let's get you an independent film.
That maybe. I think I'm like too much of a small fry to be hired for anything big.
The skills are transferable. Like you have to start somewhere, right? Like,
yeah, I still have the imposter syndrome where I'm like, feel like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I don't know why people hire me.
How many videos have you edited? As a, like, hundreds, thousands?
Wow, yeah, hundreds. I have no clue.
Okay.
Hundreds.
If you still have imposter syndrome after hundreds of videos, and look,
I do.
In case you're wondering, still have imposter syndrome after hundreds of episodes over here. Okay.
Okay.
It's just something we live with, but we shouldn't let us stop us from moving on.
Yeah.
Like, so you edit for RetroDaze. Tony Rapino writes for RetroDaze. And Tony has published many books. And Tony says that they're all flukes. And he still has imposter syndrome, right? Like, we can get jackets made up. There are plenty of us who have done 10 times, hundreds of times what other people have not even tried, that like, we're like, yeah, but I'm not, but it's only so good. It's like, no, you've got published works on the internet, videos on the internet. I've got published episodes. Tony's got published books. We should get out of our own heads. We're doing the things. I
agree with that. Yeah.
So like when I say like, maybe something bigger, look, you know, you have the skills.
I know. Part of me feels like I have imposter syndrome, and then at the same time I'm like not afraid of rejection. Like I feel like I've got nothing to lose. So it's like if I wanted to try something or apply to something, I'm like, whatever. And I don't like take it lightly. I put effort into it, but it's like if it doesn't happen, I'm like, okay, whatever.
But that's the best attitude to have. Like, where does that come from, by the way? Like, I know for a fact that my lack of a fear of rejection comes from 3 years of looking for a job when which was during the pandemic when nobody was going to, like, you weren't getting rejected. You were just getting good. Like, you were just sending resumes and applications into the ether, and they were just getting swallowed by a black hole. And then, so that taught me, like, well, you can't be afraid because you're not going to get rejected anymore. You're just never going to know. And then the other side is this podcast where, like, I don't want to sit here and talk to myself, so I have to send out invitations, and people will say yes or no, or just like the resumes, it'll go into a black hole. I'll never hear from that person again. And it was those things that were like, yeah, but I don't have a fear of rejection now because I've been ghosted enough and rejected the few times that have been, like, I actually get excited when I get a no or like a rejection because it's like, oh, somebody took the time. Somebody took the time.
Somebody actually read it. Yeah.
But like that's how I learned to deal with rejection. I don't think maybe me 10 years ago is probably a lot more afraid of rejection. But like, where are you fearless? Why are you so fearless when it comes to rejection? Like, how does that come about?
Well, kind of similar to yours, actually. And I don't think I even knew I had it in me. So back in like 2019, I was actually going to move to Germany. I'm a dual citizen. So I was like going to go move there and live there for a year and get a job.
Okay.
It was like when I was still running my pet sitting company. That actually is what spurred me to start video editing, because I was like, I want to leave. I need a job that I can do remotely. So first I started with applying to jobs in Germany, which is like impossible. I cannot tell you how many resumes I sent out, like even for the most basic of basic jobs that I was way overqualified for, just sending them out, obviously putting effort into it. It's not like I was just like boo, 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 shooting off resumes and applications. I was putting effort into it. I didn't get basically any responses back.
Yep.
The few that I did was like, yeah, rejection. And I was like, at one point I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how good I'm handling this. Like, not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm like, whoa, I don't even care. I'm just like, okay, next, and even ones that I thought would be a really interesting or cool job or that I was kind of hopeful about, I was like, okay. And I don't know, I had it in me and I didn't even know it was there, I guess, that I didn't care about that. And I don't know if it's like just something in me, or I don't know if it's all the Buddhist books I've read about letting go. I don't know what, but I learned it once I started getting rejected from all the applications I sent out. And yeah, and I don't know, I just still feel that same way. I'm just release control of it.
You're a dual citizen here and there?
Germany. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have do you not want to stay here anymore? Or you just wanted to go somewhere else for a year?
Yeah, just to go do something different. And then it's good to get on the insurance there when you're young, because if I ever wanted to move back there when I'm older, I would get the insurance. And so I don't know. I just to do something different. I love traveling and exploring, and a lot of times I just get this feeling like I just need to get away. So
like, do you think you could go a year like just traveling and not have could you be the Rolling Stone? Like, I don't need a home. Like, I'm
yeah,
good?
yeah.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the longest I've done is like 5 months, and that got cut short because of COVID and I came back. But yeah, anytime I'm on a trip, I feel like, oh, I'm not ready to go home. I feel like I could just travel for a very long time.
Is there, and I'm not pushing, but like, is there a reason that like you haven't started the travel vlogs back up again?
Like my videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For you,
well,
your videos.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things where it's like I haven't had time to work on. Like, it's like I want to. I have all the footage. I have these, like, I started the Chile series where I went to Chile and Argentina, and I'm like halfway through that, and I haven't even had time to finish. And I just did a Baltics road trip and have my storm chasing videos from this year. So I have all this footage, but I would love to, make them and put them out every week again. I'm just like, I don't know. Lately, I haven't had time.
I think it's time to make yourself a client. Like, just,
yeah.
I think it's time. Like, put yourself into the workflow. And,
I know.
And make it happen.
I should just schedule it for myself.
Right? Like, I don't know. Is the travel thing. I'm going to ask this because I don't want to say like, no, I mean, I guess the truth is like I had an anxiety attack and that kind of killed all my, like, living with anxieties killed all my travel basically. I can drive, but I also, before that, lost my interest in like really traveling to faraway places. I just don't like, I'm a curious person in other capacities and other things. There's not a book I won't read or, things I won't watch or listen to or whatever. But like when it comes to travel, and look, This is the thing that always astounded people. Like, I spent 9 years in the tourism industry as a marketing person. And like,
wow.
I was happy to promote my own town. Alyssa, come to my hometown. But like, I don't have that like wanderlust for like, I want to go that other place. I want to go somewhere else. And while the anxiety keeps me from flying and like buses and trains, I can drive anywhere I want. And I also feel like there's a part of me that's like, if you just took a 6-hour circle from where I live, I haven't touched 4% of maybe the things that you could see in that thing. So when it comes to wanderlust, it's like, well, I have a million things that are close to me I haven't done, but I don't have that. Like, I want to go see the rest of the world. I've been across the ocean. Like I've done it in my youth, I guess. I just don't have the interest. It's just not there.
Yeah, well, I know people like that they're just, they don't have the desire, and yeah.
Okay. I'm just
Nothing wrong
saying
with that.
but it also makes me feel like you should probably be just when you can get out there, shoot the video, and then, get yourself a sponsor so you don't have to pay for the travel anymore. That's how it works, right? That's what we've all been led to believe. You want to sit there and talk to me about imposter syndrome, and I just keep thinking, yeah, but if you make enough videos, somebody's going to sponsor you to go other places.
I did. It's weird. I did get an email from somebody through my website saying that they've been enjoying my travel videos, and they have a place in Romania or something, which I'm like, okay, well, that sounds interesting. But it was just kind of like, I don't know, the name in the email. It wasn't like a weird email, but it didn't seem like it was some particular. And I was Googling the person, like, is this like
real?
I don't know, some weird sex trafficking ring or like what? Like, it's like somebody has contacted me, but I don't know if it's real or not. And they're like, we'd love to have you stay at our Airbnb or whatever. And I don't know, it was like a specific town there. And I'm like, well, that could be cool if it was real, but how do I know they're not like that's psycho or something?
It's a tough call. And I've had, like, I know it's not the same, but like I've had people, like I have a blog that people find out I actually read and review books, like in text form, not like, and I'm not throwing shade at people on like TikTok or Book Talk or whatever it's called, right? But like, I think people find it and go, oh, somebody who's actually writing, like, will get SEO value out of this. And like, I get some shady emails. It's like, hey, can we send you this book? And I'm like, well, I'm curious, but this book doesn't sound interesting. Like, I don't know what, like, they're just like, oh, somebody who reads book. Yeah. It's like, maybe do a little bit more homework than just someone who reads. Yeah, the proliferation of unsolicited emails that are either legit but weird or just strange, there's a lot. And so I guess thank you for taking my unsolicited email to be a guest on this show through your website. Because
Tony had told me about you before, so I knew you weren't like totally out of left field, some weirdo approaching me.
I mean, it is one of those things where, at least from my perspective, as somebody who has to like reach out to people, finding an email or even a web form on a website that works is not as easy as you might think it would be.
Yeah.
I've had, cause I refuse to invite somebody publicly cause I feel like it puts undue pressure on them. If like somebody likes that thread, that tweet, that blue sky thing, whatever. And it's like, oh, well, now somebody wants you to do it. And you're like, I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do that. So I'm always like, how can I do this privately? where they can say no and only hurt my feelings. And that's fine. But like, sometimes it's really hard. And sometimes you just have to be like, well, all right, I can't invite that person.
Yeah.
Woo. I don't know. I'm excited for you. I'm gonna just be in your email now, like once a month, being like, so have you started working on your feature length whatever? Your new independent film?
Maybe that's the motivation I need to start working on something.
Or maybe
like
it's just, hey, did you work on your own video?
Yeah.
Do you have energy is different. I'm not asking about energy, but like, do you have the motivation? Like you want to, you're just tired?
Yeah, I want to. I'm just tired, and it's like by the time I'm done with work and stuff, and then just life, like trying to cook food and exercise, it's like do laundry and see family. I'm like, by the time I'm done with that, I feel like I hit this weird burnout a couple of years ago, and because I was working like a lot, and I feel like I haven't recovered from it.
Okay, but
I'm like chronically tired.
Very important distinction though. Did you realize but you did realize you were burnt out?
Yeah, I was like, I'm running on fumes here, and I am so burned out. And
how long did it take though? Because like I know people that like I've had to tell, like I've got friends where I was like, yo, dude, you're burnt out, and it like they have to hear it, right? Like they're not they're tired, but it's like, whatever. Like there's always an excuse, and it's like, no, it's not like an intervention, but it's like, I think you're burnt out. So like, was it a self-realization, or did somebody help you? Like,
I knew I was like pretty burned out for probably almost a year, and it just hit a point where I was like, I cannot keep going at this rate. And I had several years ago, was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I'm like fine now. I'm not even taking medication or anything, but it's forced me to be very aware of myself and my stress level in my body, because I don't want to reactivate it. And because before I would just push through and I would just go and not listen to my body or my mind or anything. And that's what got me, that problem in the first place. So I've been forced into listening to myself, because naturally I would just be like, I tell my body and mind when I'm done, and I'm just going to keep going.
It's an ignorance of youth thing too. It's like, no, I can definitely do this. Like I know for a fact in the last year, working on stuff, it's been like, all right, like I don't go to sleep at 11, but I try and make sure that the work stuff is all off by 11. And that's at the latest, right? Like I very much like try and create the illusion of a 9 to 5. Just because it helps with some of that balance stuff.
Yeah, have some structure.
But I know that like younger me would have been like, 11 o'clock. What are you doing? You could go till 2. It's like, I could, but I don't want to. Like you start listening to your body and you're like, I should wind down. Like I might be able to fall asleep when my head hits the pillow if I work until 11 or 3 a.m., but that's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
I
know. And there's like something about getting all like, I feel like I'm like 20. I'm 36, but I feel like I'm 20. But it's like I've noticed age as I've gotten older, like things affect me way more, and just like lack of sleep and all of that, it hits me so much harder.
I'm only, I have to do the math because like math is hard. No, I'm only 41, and again, I'm kind of in your boat. Like I feel like I'm 20. Like I don't I don't know. For some reason, like when you're in college and like you see somebody who's 40, you're like, that person's old.
Yeah.
And now like my younger self would consider me old, but I don't feel old. But that stuff about listening is so much more important now.
Yeah.
Like I should probably eat breakfast more often. But for, I don't know, a good 25 straight years, like after my parents stopped forcing me to eat breakfast, when it became a choice, like when you're like 10 and they're like, make yourself something. And I was like, no, because I was just lazy back then. That got me into a habit of just not eating breakfast. And then that kind of continued. And then I was like, maybe I should start eating something. And now I still am bad at it. I'm still horrible at it because a pot of coffee does not a breakfast make. That's my morning routine. Make coffee,
like
drink
me.
coffee. That's it.
Actually, I usually wake up hungry, but lately I don't know. Lately I haven't been super hungry when I wake up, but yeah, I'm just like cup after cup of coffee. Like, oh, I'm probably burning a hole in my stomach right now with all this coffee, but oh well.
It's fine. We're running out of it anyway. Let's drink it while we have it, right? Like I've been reading articles about like the coffee's going to run out in 2042 or stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't care. Give it to me now. I'll find a replacement when there's no coffee left.
Oh my gosh, I have not heard of that. That would be a devastating day if that happened.
Well, this is the climate change thing. Like the climates that are conducive to growing coffee and a few other things. But for the sake of this argument, let's just talk about coffee because that's the one that's important, right?
Yeah.
It's getting too hot, so the yield is not as good necessarily. Or we're getting that like hot, cold, which is even worse than too hot. So like,
yeah, it seems like the weather's been going in extremes.
Yeah. And so it affects my coffee. It affects Alyssa. It affects our coffee, people. This is serious.
Yeah.
God. No, this is, and I drink coffee when I'm recording. Decaf at night though.
Oh, wow.
I switched that.
So you drink it into the night?
When I was somewhere in my early 30s, I stopped sleeping or I was having trouble sleeping. Like just, and it was
insomnia.
It was insomnia, but like, I can't quite put a finger on what, like it wasn't like a moment. It was like, I just started having trouble. So, I stopped drinking caffeine after 3:00. And so I had no problem drinking decaf. I still like coffee. So it was like, I just switched to decaf after 3 p.m. because I was like, people can still give me crap, but like, for whatever stress might be keeping me up, but it wasn't the coffee because that's decaf.
Are you one of those people that gets like, if you don't have your morning coffee, you get a headache and feel sick and stuff, or are you okay without it?
I'm okay without it. And I know this because, sometimes my anxiety, it's not just social. So I don't want to call it social anxiety, but like generally it manifests that way a lot. And so depending on what I have to do, especially if it's something that I have to do before lunch, sometimes I will skip coffee in order to like be a little calmer through the things. And what I notice is I don't have that like mass, like you would expect with my pot of coffee every day, that it would be like, oh, like if he skips, it's just going to be a nightmare. But it's not. I can skip and it's fine.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have like family members who've like, I need my coffee now. I feel sick. I have a horrible migraine, but I can skip it. Even though I drink a lot every day, I can skip it just fine.
I think controversially maybe, but I think it comes from my genes. Because I hear from like, I love these stories from like my father about like my grandparents that like they would always have a pot of coffee on the stove, like 24 hours a day. There was always a pot of coffee on the stove. And like I crossed over as far as like I was alive when my great grandparents were alive and I met them and I remember them, but I was only like up to 7, right? And they were already in nursing homes and stuff. But I always hear these stories about like, if you walked in the house, there was coffee on. It doesn't matter when, like you could have come home at 3 a.m. There was coffee on the stove all the time. And I just feel like, all right, so maybe it's not the genes, maybe it's hereditary, but like somewhere in my family, somebody was always drinking coffee. It's like, okay. Perfect. This makes sense for me.
Your blood.
I mean, at this point, I have to be a percentage of coffee.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back. So I used to, before the podcast, I used to do this weird thing where I would go back and forth via email to interrogate someone like yourself, like someone I met like before the podcast. And it would just be like, here's 10 questions. Then you answer them. And then I'm like, here's some follow-ups. And then I put it together. And it was actually, this podcast and editing is much easier than those text things used to be. But one of the things I used to ask was coffee or tea.
Are you asking me right now?
Yeah.
Coffee.
And then how do you take your coffee?
Black.
Just black.
Yeah. Occasionally, sometimes I'll like a little bit of whole milk in it if I have it, but almost always black. That's how I didn't start drinking coffee till my early 20s and just always have had it black.
Why did you start drinking coffee?
I don't even know why, because I used to think the taste was disgusting, like super bitter, but I don't know why. I just started drinking it and now, and and for years I would only have 1 cup. Okay, I say I started drinking it, but for years it was 1 cup on Saturday or Sunday for the week, and that was it. I'd have 1 cup of coffee a week. Now I'm up to like 3 cups a day. So I don't know when that transition happened, but for years it was like I'd save 1 cup for the weekend, and that was it. Okay,
all right. I can pinpoint the moment I started drinking coffee, and it's not for a good reason. I had the second half of my junior year, I spent a high school semester in Jerusalem. Well, there's a vastly different drinking age over there. And I started drinking coffee to sober up in the mornings. And so that's where it started. And then it just kind of continued. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that I feel like if I hadn't needed the wake up for a 8 a.m. class, probably never start drinking coffee.
Yeah. I mean, it is like a nice little pick me up in the morning.
It's not a good reason. That's not kids. If you're listening, I don't know why the kid be listening, but like, that's not why you drink. Like, by all means, pick up a cup, put some sugar in it, put some milk in it, whatever you want, but don't drink.
Wait, so why did you do, you said a half a semester or a semester in Jerusalem?
Yeah. Well, half a year, but no.
Or half a year?
4 months. Yeah, that's half a school year. Yeah. Half a year. Yeah. It was a complicated situation, but let's just say I probably would have gotten kicked out of my high school had I not had an opportunity to leave it. I was a very, they didn't know how to handle me in a very small town.
Okay.
And so it was like, oh, well, this opportunity happens to exist. And it's like, let's go. All right.
So
Perfect.
it wasn't like a plant, like a way advanced
No, like
plan thing. It was kind of like
I very much learned. How quick can I do this? I wrote. I went to school in very rural Pennsylvania, in high school in rural Pennsylvania. I wrote a theme. They weren't essays; they were themes. I don't know why. About religion, and of course, because it's rural Pennsylvania, and they didn't have the budget for like the teachers to actually do the work. They outsourced some of the editing of themes, and I got some responses on not just one, but two fairly philosophical, quasi-religious things I wrote that were like, yeah, you're wrong. And it's like, whoa. Hold the phone. And so that I tried to take care of the situation by myself. Like, this is very much like I don't want to get my parents involved. I think I can do this myself. And I tried, and I eventually lamented, and I was like, all right, I had the piece of paper, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I tried to take care of this situation by myself, but I'm not getting anywhere, because my teacher was like, I'm not changing the grade. And I was like, I don't give a flying whatever about the grade. I'm a little more concerned about somebody telling me, like, I'm not going to say they were anti-Semitic, but like, that's kind of the way the comments were veiled that way.
Okay.
And so my parents got involved, and of course my parents went straight to the rabbi, and they were like, hey, this is going on. And now I was a little privileged in that my rabbi happened to be head of youth programs for the one of the big Reform Judaism youth organizations. So like, he kind of knew about this program, and he had an weight in this program. So like, legitimately, like, I take the thing to my parents tell the rabbi, like, the next week, maybe 2 weeks later, he's in our house being like, how would you like to leave?
Wow.
And that was in November, and my semester abroad started in February. So like, this was not like planned.
Yeah.
And then obviously while I was over there, kids will be kids. I don't know. 15 with no real adult supervision in a foreign country. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I have not been to that many clubs ever. I've not been to that many bars ever. I've not probably had that much to drink ever. I got it all out in those 4 months.
What is that? They drink the Iraq, or what is that kind of licoricey flavored?
Oh, I don't
liquor?
know. I just know we were drinking, and like, we were dumb kids. We just drank whatever was there. Like, we didn't go to like, we went to a bar, a Mexican themed bar called Taco Taco, that was bartended by a Canadian bartender. Like, who we got to know, who would tell us if one of the, like, chaperones for the trip was nearby. We had a separate room in the back for us. It was bad. And so that's how I started drinking coffee, kids.
Well, that's the way more interesting than my story of I don't know. So
look, not everybody's going to have a grand story about how they started drinking coffee.
Yeah. Well, at least you have one.
But I mean, this, I guess I will say, I have ebbed and flowed. Like, I used to drink it very sweet. And then when you talk about, listening to your body, I switched to maple syrup instead of processed sugar, like raw maple syrup. And I don't nearly put in as much. It's basically black with like a little sweetener now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to it just being black every year I go on.
Yeah.
That's
one. I'll add milk, but I can't. I don't know. Sugar and coffee is like ugh to me. So yeah, I've never been like, never wanted those sweet Starbucks, whatever.
No.
Drinks. That's but even just like a spoonful of sugar in it is like too much for me.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'll take it sweet, and I'll get you your coffee black. So let's recap. After 10 years as an entrepreneur, the pull of getting into a creative realm became more important to Alyssa as time went on. And now, many years in, she still doesn't feel comfortable, which is normal for all freelancers. She is working and getting paid to edit other people's projects, such as RetroDaze, which I'll get to in a second. And she needs to, and since our conversation has, found more time for her own projects. The takeaway here is that you get to determine your values and your needs. And if that's pivoting from a successful decade-old business you started into a realm of sleepless nights and early mornings, that's no one's concern but your own. Everyone is always willing to tell you do what makes you happy until it's counter to what they thought. Who cares? I applaud Alyssa's decision. I wish I could say I ended up here on my own terms as a freelancer myself, but I was more or less forced here, and I'm happy to remain here. But Alyssa chose to go a different path than the one she was on, and that's to be celebrated. Now, one of her projects is as editor for the RetroDaze YouTube channel. If you're a regular listener, you may remember I've had John Reddick and James Gaddis on, who you've seen on camera, as well as Tony Rapino, who's been on twice. RetroDaze is a comfort food, and that's why I sort of collected the crew on all sides of the camera. Check them out because we could all use some comfort these days. And be more like Alyssa. Choose your own path, and let me know what you get up to. Thanks for listening to The Palmer Files, episode 144. And now for the official business. The Palmer Files releases every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. If you're still listening, I encourage you to join the discussion. You can find all related ways to contact my guest Alyssa and myself in the show notes. You can visit Alyssa's website, labotzmedia.com. That's L-A-B-O-T-Z media.com. Or you can see her travel videos on YouTube at Roaming with Alyssa. You can also check out her work on RetroDaze at youtube.com/RetroDaze. That's RetroDaze. The music for this episode was provided by Henno Heitur. Email can be sent to this show at thepalmerfiles@gmail.com. And remember, your home for all things Agent Palmer is agentpalmer.com. All right, Alyssa, do you have one final question for me?
Yes. So you're from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
You're wearing a Dodgers shirt.
I am.
So what do you like about an LA team?
Simply put, they beat the Yankees. I don't like I'm an Orioles fan, really, but I don't like the Yankees. But the reason I have a Dodgers shirt, as well as a few Dodgers jerseys, is because I became a Dodger fan while my first job out of college was working retail, unloading trucks from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And if you're a baseball fan and it's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you have to watch a West Coast team. There's no, you can't not, all the baseball on this coast is done every time I get out of work. And so at the time, Vin Scully was still the voice of the Dodgers, and he always told the best stories. And so I kind of became a Vin fan, and since he was doing Dodger games, I became a Dodger fan. And, up until the last 3 years, the Orioles have been absolutely horrible. So, if I want to root for, I like to think the Dodgers are my NL team. So I at least have a slightly winning team on occasion that I can follow. And it gets me into trouble, which is always fun.
Well, that is fun.
Also, this is a Sean Green Dodger jersey. Sean Green being one of the first really everyday players in my era that was Jewish, and so it was like a nice little nod, to him. Even though it's fine. That's why I enjoy West Coast baseball, because it gives me something to watch late at night.
Okay, well, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
Are
you a sports fan at all?
Are the Orioles the Pennsylvania team or what? Because I know
No.
nothing.
The Orioles are in Baltimore. And that's where my father comes from, and fandoms are passed down that way. So wait, no sports at all?
No. And my dad was never into sports. He like surfing and skateboarding and not into sports. I think he played Little League when he was a boy.
Surfing and skateboarding are sports.
I know, but I mean sport teams.
Okay.
So I never grew up around watching games of any kind. I have no interest myself. So
but given your age, did you do youth soccer at least?
No.
Okay.
I did tap and ballet, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually started up ballet again a couple years ago. So yeah. I love it.
Why did you start up again?
Well, okay, so I broke my ankle in Taekwondo. That was the first sporty thing I've ever done is Taekwondo. I broke my ankle and I couldn't go back to it. And ballet, all the pointing and flexing and tendus and plies, it really helped my ankle. And when I was a kid, I thought it was boring and slow. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, I love it so much. So,
is this this is going to be my ignorance, but is this a better, is this more fun than yoga would be? I don't, I'm spitballing here because I don't know.
I did yoga for a long time, but I don't know. I like it better.
Okay.
I have all my fun leotards and even though I do it at home because I'm subscribed to an online studio, even though it's at home, I wear my ballet outfit and I have a bar and I like the classical music. And,
wait, you have a bar at home?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in now. You're back.
I'm committed.
What do you do when you travel then?
Well, I just do.
You can't take the bar with you. Okay.
I know. I find a chair to hold on to or something.
Okay.
Or center work. You don't need a bar for.
Has it helped your mental health?
Well, I think exercise of any form for me, it's a good anxiety reliever, and I get almost obsessive about exercise sometimes. So
well,
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe that makes it worse because then I become then I get anxiety. I'm like, I didn't exercise today.
Oh,
everybody's
you can't.
Alyssa, it's fine. I'm like, oh, okay.
So let me ask you a hypothetical. If you get sick for some reason, you have a 24-hour bug and you can't work, do you get hard on yourself for that too? Are you as hard, even regardless of the circumstance, are you as hard on yourself when you miss work as you are when you miss a workout?
No, I used to get more paranoid about missing a workout. Now I force myself sometimes not to because I don't want to get stuck in that mode. I don't want to turn into a weird problem where I'm I gotta exercise all the time. And so I'll force myself not. And I just had ankle surgery again, a couple months or last month. So I've definitely
what was that
not
one?
been.
That wasn't Taekwondo.
That was to fix that break. Well, no, it was okay. The break healed, but I got my screws taken out.
Okay.
And then they cleaned up tissue, and it's it's been a while, but it's not healing right. So I've been off it way longer than I planned.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I hope it gets better.
Thanks.
And
And it kind of forced me to like cool it on the workouts. So I guess, to look for the silver lining in that.
I mean, if you can find a silver lining,
Yeah.
all the better.
Yeah.